What's that? What the
shit doesn't look good. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mixed Media. Today, we have a story time for y'all.
You do?
It isn't a happy story.
No, but we're okay.
We survived. That's the most important thing. We got to where we were going safely. This is going to be the story of our very unique travel experience through United for our cruise. If you guys haven't checked out the cruise video, right up here, part 1
And
2. We had a great time being there, not so much a great time getting there. So This is a video we're going to explain what happened on our voyage. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below if you've had any sort of interesting stories that you could tell us. Let's hop right into the video.
So, for those of you who didn't catch our vlog, Jaeden and I took a trip to Miami to ultimately get on a cruise for my 21st birthday.
To go through the Caribbean.
Yeah, we did all the fun things. It was very fun. But it was a fucking pain in the ass to get there. Like, I've never had an experience like that. I'm sure there's worse ones that y'all will have. The worst travel experience we've had. And we do a lot of traveling, so we're pretty experienced travelers, and this was pretty bad. We had to get to Miami to be able to get on the boat, which we were supposed to be catching January 3rd at noon. That's when you have to get on the boat. Like, there's no waiting around for you guys. If you haven't taken a cruise before, like, they don't wait for you to get there. Like, you got to get there on your own and get on the cruise at your allotted time. Me, Jaeden, flew out separate, and my parents were actually coming with us, so they flew out separate. We were all flying out January 2nd to give us like a day to get there.
Thank God we did that.
I know. We had like a hotel booked for that night so that we could all just like chill, go for dinner, take our time, see a bit of Miami, like enjoy it. We had flights booked for early in the morning, January 2nd, giving us like over 24 hours to get there. Like, were giving us ample time. Originally, Jaeden and I woke up at around 4 a.m.
Toronto time
to drive to Pearson Airport and catch our flight in Toronto. And we had a flight from Toronto to Newark, which is in New York, for those who don't know, and then from Newark to Miami. And then we were gonna stay there and then go to the boat the next day. You guys saw in the vlog, we were very tired. We did our whole intro. Everything was going great. We flew to Newark, made it there safe. Flight was great. No issues. We landed in Newark. My parents had a layover in New York, like at LaGuardia. Their flight ended up getting delayed. So we were all like, oh, whatever. Flights get delayed. It happens.
We had a 5-hour layover.
We did. So we all had pretty long layovers. So we weren't worried. We still had lots of time to get there. Then our flight gets delayed. We landed at like 9:30 a.m. and we were supposed to catch our flight at like 2:30 p.m. and it got pushed. And we're like, that's very strange. Like, we're at 2 different airports, 2 different planes. We're not taking the same flight. And
not even the same airline.
Yeah, both our flights are delayed. Like, what happened? So I ended up going to a personnel, and he was saying, oh, there's just some like air traffic control issues in Florida today. Like, they're just having trouble getting the planes to land and go out because of like some signaling issues. Jaeden and I thought, why don't we just get into the customer service line in case we could get put on a standby list or something like that. We get into the customer service line, and between getting in line and getting to the front, which was like almost 2 hours, our flight got delayed up to like 4 or 5 hours. So we were starting to like get really concerned. Meanwhile, our gate was changing all over the place. Like, it kept bouncing back and forth. And finally we got to the front, and the customer service personnel for United said, we'll put you on a standby for the next flight out in case something happens to yours. Like, you don't know, but like, and then here's like a little food voucher so you guys can get like a little snack. We were like 7th and 8th on the standby list, but better than nothing. So we went to get food. My parents got on their flight, which was delayed, but they got on, they took off. Everything was good. We were like, you know what? Things are fine. Like, we're gonna get on. They're not canceling flights anymore. Like, nothing's happening. We're eating. 15 minutes before the flight, we get a text from my dad, who's like, looks like your flight is canceled. Do you want to like go check? So we like run to the gate, and now it says a different name. Like, it doesn't say flying to Miami anymore.
I think it was going to Dallas.
Yeah, it was just like, it didn't even mention our flight. So Jaeden went up.
I just asked, did they change the gate for Miami to for Newark to Miami? And she said, oh no, that flight was canceled.
And we didn't get notified.
I didn't get any
like,
text.
We didn't get a text.
Nothing.
Until like an hour after that. Like, United didn't tell us anything. So we, like, I fucking lost it. Like, I lost it because we're like, we're not gonna get there. Like, what are we gonna do? We run back to customer service. We get in line again.
We were standing in this line, which was even longer than before. So we had that standby flight, which left at like 7:30. That one got delayed as well. So while I was in line, Zoe ran to check that one. They boarded that flight, of course.
Here's a clip of me. I actually recorded a video of me coming back from checking that standby flight, very panicky, like I was very upset.
I was tempted to not record this because honestly this is some of the most stress that Jaeden and I have been through in a while. Unfortunately, the day that we've happened to fly out, there's been a huge Florida-wide system error and they have been canceling flights left and right. We were the last flight to be canceled. So flights are going out now, but of course, you know, they're booked. So we are split up, struggling, trying to find a flight in another city, flying into another city and rushing in because we have a deadline to catch.
And then she came back because we obviously didn't get on that flight. We were 7th and 8th, and I think they only let number one
person go
on the standby list. At that time, we were starting to freak out because we were in the middle of the line. The line we still had at least another 45 minutes to go, and we started calling the United customer service like from the phone while we were waiting to get on the customer service desk. And they had said the only next available flight that they could get us on was at 6:45 p.m. the next day, which would put us way over the time that we had to be on the boat. We would just miss the boat. So what we did was we booked some contingency one-way flights from JFK because they didn't have anything from Newark. JFK, John F. Kennedy, which is in New York. Keep in mind, Newark is New York, but it's New Jersey, so it's really like 40-minute drive away. JFK to Miami for the next morning at 6 a.m., right? So we had those as a contingency flight.
Which would make it.
Which would make
6 a.m.
We would have made it. If there was no delay, we would have made it.
We would make it.
So we get to the front of the line. We're speaking with the person at the desk who has now all of a sudden, United has created this new flight at 10:45 p.m. to try and, I guess, make up for the other flight that they canceled. And we managed to get 2 tickets to get onto that flight, which was great. Yeah, and this one it didn't even go to Miami, so we would have had to Uber from Fort Lauderdale all the way down to Miami, which would have been even more of a inconvenience for us. We also got some more meal vouchers because we had been at the airport for how long at this point? So long.
Like 12 hours at this point.
12 hours just in Newark. And keep in mind, we had already been traveling for 5-6 hours before that.
But at this point, we have 2 flights booked. We have one out of one airport in New York and one out of the airport we're in into a slightly outside part of Miami. Like, we technically have 2 flights.
We technically had 2 flights.
We're good.
So we were like, we were safe. Because we had gotten on this United flight now to 10:45, we're like, okay, so, we should be good.
Yeah.
We thought, let's call American Airlines and see, we over-exaggerated with buying the other flights. Let's see if we can cancel these ones. To which some person gave us some terrible customer service, had no idea what she was talking about, telling us, this is the policy, this is this. Meanwhile, it wasn't, because we called back later and found out even more information that that person was telling us lies, which took up like an hour and a half of our time on the phone with American Airlines. And the lady ended up canceling our flight.
Yeah.
So we had to call back again and say, hello, we didn't want to cancel it yet. We were just asking about a cancellation. So we ended up having some guy give us our flights back. At this point, we still have 2 flights. Yeah. So we got our meal vouchers and we went to this little restaurant bar thing in the airport. If you guys have been to like a North American airport, most of them have them. And we hung out with the bartender / server, who was this really, really nice lady from New Jersey who was helping us out a lot. And she brought us over like some mozzarella sticks and she gave us like a glass of wine just for free.
She was really nice.
She was really nice. She was great.
When you hear a story like this, it doesn't sound as bad. But like when you're in it and you're like, I'm going to lose all this money on this trip. We've spent so much like time and effort and money into like a trip that we were so looking forward to. And then we're like, that we might not even get it. Yeah. Like we might not even get there.
Guys, honestly, look at me.
I'm gonna have to sit down and do a story time about this.
No, this is a story time for sure.
Because maybe this is a separate video. Because this is just like so absurd and like
this is a separate
really
video.
Heartbreaking because it's turned something like really exciting into something like,
really stressful.
So hard.
We've been at the airport for 12 hours trying to figure this out.
And like honestly, nobody's really willing to help. Like I feel like everybody's very
American.
Yeah, like nobody's wanting to help us, so we're like completely on our own for trying to figure this shit out. when it's been
The airline
completely out
has
of our
no
control.
interest.
Yeah.
Just the
We are booked to fly into a different city in Florida. We'll have to Uber down to Miami. We're
If
not
that
going
even
to get
happens.
to our hotel until the middle of the night. We're supposed to board the ship
tomorrow.
6 hours, 7 hours after we are going to get there. And we've been up for 2 days trying to figure this out.
This is the worst experience I've ever had.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not necessarily anyone who works here's fault. So at this point, we've eaten. We've kind of relaxed a little bit. We're like, okay, this flight looks like it's gonna guarantee. Other flights that were going to Florida were getting boarded and getting out there, like getting in the air.
Like nothing was being canceled.
Nothing was being canceled. We're gonna talk to the stewardess people.
Yeah, like the crew.
The crew on the flight who had said, oh yeah, today was terrible. Today was really, all over the place.
They're like, this one's definitely going out.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, all the flights going to Florida were being canceled. Like, not just our airport. Airports all over the country.
And by this point, it's almost 11 p.m.
The green lane, lovely seven.
Alright guys, we're finally boarding. It's like, what time is it? Like 10:45.
We've been at the airport the entire day.
Almost 14 hours now.
Anyway, we're getting on.
Get on the flight. Everyone's boarded onto the plane. Everybody who's on the plane, the crew, everything. So we're at this point, we're on the tarmac. We're taxiing around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exhausted. Zoe was having a little bit of a breakdown at this point. So I kind of need to be the person who was facilitating being reasonable and logical. So I had been asleep by this point. Zoe was still hyped up, so she was awake.
I was making sure we left. I was waiting till our wheels were in the air.
So Zoe's sitting there. She goes, we're in the plane. There's no way we're going to need this backup flight.
Yeah.
So Zoe brilliantly cancels the American Airlines flight.
The one that was our backup.
The backup flight. The one out of JFK. So at this point, we are like ready to take off. Like we're ready to take off. The pilot goes, we're having some technical difficulties with the plane.
I shat myself.
So at this point, I'm like, oh, they do this every time. Oh, weather, whatever bullshit. I'm going back to sleep. Zoe's sitting there like this. In the seat, petrified. Pilot comes back. We're gonna have to taxi back to the gate to have the crew inspect the plane.
Part of the problem was like because this was like midnight, a lot of staff had gone home.
Yeah, so this was the latest flight. There was no other flight going out at this time. Checks out the plane and they go, "We're sorry, we're not gonna be able to take off. So you guys are gonna have to go to the United desk again because this flight is canceled." This point, we were both going insane.
That was our breaking point.
That was the breaking point of the night. We had been sitting on the tarmac now for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And still our plane had got canceled again.
And I canceled the other flight.
And Zoe had canceled the other flight. Here.
I was like in tears. I was like, there's no way we're getting there. Like, it's impossible. It's midnight. We have to be at the boat in 12 hours. We have 12 hours to be in Miami. We get off the plane, run to the customer service line for the third time, okay? This line has tripled. Our original line waiting 2 hours, the next line waiting maybe 2.5. This one had to be 4. Like, this was huge. And there were only 2 people working because everybody went home. I tried to get back on the phone with American Airlines, which was the plane I canceled, trying to rebook that flight. Jaeden starts looking for brand new flights. We book brand new flights because we're like, okay, this might be our only option. And then right as he books those, the person I'm on the phone with was like, yeah, we can get you put back on that same flight. So now,
at this point,
oh my God.
We once again have 2 flights.
Like, and that's great because we were like, great, now we have two flights again. Yeah, we had to go to JFK. Like, there was no more flights out of the airport.
Out of Newark, yeah.
When you're this upset, this tired, spending this much money on flights last minute, this desperate, like, it's very upsetting. Like, it's...
Zoe suggested we could drive.
I was desperate. Like, I didn't even know. We Ubered to JFK. What, like a $200 Uber?
The easiest part is this is after us standing in the line for almost 40 minutes on the phone with American Airlines, on the phone with United, on the phone with Expedia for the third flight.
We called the boat. We were like, can you hold the boat? Like, what can you do? Like, what do we do?
Anything.
Like, we get to JFK.
Well, we've been awake for 24 hours.
Running on only about 4 hours of sleep because we woke up at 4 a.m. So we've been awake for like 2 days. We go to the kiosk to like, you can check in and it's not working. So we get in the line to like manually go to the people that check you in. Wait like 30 minutes, get to the front. It's like 3 a.m. and the lady's like, yeah, it's not working. Like I can't check you in. Like your boarding passes, like I can't get your boarding passes. It's not working. And we're like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean it's not working? Like we need to get on this flight. Like you don't get it. She calls like I don't know, the higher up
The
team.
higher up. She calls God. I don't know
She's
who she
on
called.
hold for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It felt like now, this is a sign. Like, it felt like a sign.
Of something trying to hold you back from going on this.
like
At this point, I was considering just turning around and going back home.
Suddenly, as we're thinking this, it just suddenly works. Like, it just suddenly, like, she's like, oh, it just worked. Like, you can go.
First minute, we get to the security line, we get stopped.
Oh my God.
You have too many bags. How the is a side bag a bag? We had to end up repacking a bag so we could get through the security line. Once we got through the security line, we like walked for what felt like 30 minutes.
Oh my God, it was so far.
Through JFK. So we get all the way to our gate. We finally get to sit down. They're starting to board the plane. We hear an announcement from the stewardess saying, we are going to be checking your bags. If they're oversized, they have to be checked. We did not want to check a bag. We travel carry-on, so we don't have to check a bag. Because we had to repack, the bags were so big. So we were worried that they were going to stop us and have us check our bag. Thankfully, one thing went right, and we got through onto the plane without having to check our bag. So we get on this flight.
Place your bag in wheels first, then turn it on its side.
We're on plane 3
Small lightweight items may be placed in the seat
of the
pocket.
day.
To access 70
So we're gonna
million
see how it
songs,
goes.
music videos, artist-hosted radio, and more.
Because we're not sure what's
You can
happening.
also
So we came to a completely different airport, spent more money on flights.
Finally, we are holding our breath. The plane takes off.
I almost cried.
As soon as the plane took off, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Slept the whole flight. We land at about 10:30 in Miami a.m. the day of the cruise. So this is
Like,
now
we gotta be there
January 3rd.
2 hours.
We got to be there in 2 hours. So keep in mind, we were supposed to be there the night before at about 5:30. We're now here in the morning, 10:30. We arrive. We order an Uber to take it to Zoe's parents who are staying at the hotel we were supposed to be staying at too.
Fuck that.
Yeah, well, that went to nothing. We ordered the Uber to the wrong part of the terminal. If you guys have taken an Uber before, you know they only wait about 5 minutes and then they charge you and
Yeah.
they leave. We are sprinting, running off of like blinking red, zero energy through the Miami airport to get to the other end of the terminal. We arrive. Our great Uber driver waited for us.
Could not believe we made it.
This
Like,
was insane.
I had convinced myself we wouldn't.
Zoe's parents greeted us there because they were staying up helping us on the phone with us the whole time as well. And then we went directly to the cruise. At this point, it is now 1:30 p.m. This is the first time we are really sitting down and relaxing because we finally made it to the cruise, like into the room. In total, we were up almost 45 hours straight, running on 4 hours of sleep.
Like, it was actually crazy.
And the craziest part is that was only the way there.
Yeah.
So
There was issues coming home.
there was issues coming home as well.
Had a great time on the cruise. It was so lovely. We were like, so we were meant to come. We were meant to be here. We were meant to go on this trip. Coming home, we left the 13th. We were actually all traveling home together. We all had to fly from Miami into New York. This time we were flying to LaGuardia. So we'd been to actually all 3 New York airports
In a
the
matter
span
of
like
2
10
weeks.
days.
Yeah.
Supposed to fly in there and then fly straight home to Toronto. We fly from Miami to New York, no issues. Everything's great. Like, our connecting flight was, I think, 7:30 p.m.,
7:45, something.
And it gets delayed. And we're like, whoa, Nelly. Like, there's like a storm
In Toronto.
like a wintry storm. Like, the flight before us that went from where we were to Toronto had been canceled. So we were like, so this is the same thing that just happened to us coming here. We're gonna get our flight canceled. I mean, we're not trying to catch a boat now. So I mean, if we have
It
to
still would have been
cancel it,
annoying because going home is one of the worst parts of
Yeah.
traveling is going home.
this just happened to us. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we're having more issues. I think 3 or 4 hours. Our flight got delayed, but it did come. We took off. We're like, okay, cool.
Actually, before we took off, I forgot my hat
Oh yeah,
and I had to run back to the gate.
but he got it.
10 minutes into
Yeah.
the flight. We are going through this storm. I have never experienced turbulence like this. The plane is shaking, the wings are shaking. Me and Zoe are literally like no word of a lie. This is not over exaggeration. We were literally like this. Sitting in their chairs.
I screamed.
They come on radio, whatever. They say, oh, we're not gonna be able to do this beverage service because there's too much turbulence. And one of the stewardesses goes, oh yeah, guys, please remain in your seat. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Falls
She,
like literally like a movie.
She
Like
like
we
yelled on the thing.
we thought this plane is going down. So
Yeah.
at this point, I'm like praying because I'm like, this is
Yeah.
the reason we weren't supposed to go on this trip because
Yeah.
this plane is gonna go down. Pilot comes on the intercom. We're experiencing a little bit of turbulence, so just hang tight. So we're all sitting there like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Are you not seeing this turbulence? We land safely back in Toronto. I get my mom to come pick us up. I think this was one of the most traumatic airport experiences in my life. And the way we described it, you may be able to envision what it was like, you may not, but living it was 10 times worse than the way we're describing it to you guys. So
be like, you don't know we're gonna make it. We don't know we're gonna land safely. We don't know, like, it's all very ambiguous. It's a lot more scary.
It was really terrible.
Very like distressing how inconsiderate that they were and how unhelpful they ultimately were. And I've flown with United so many times. We flew with United to Paris. You guys saw in our Paris vlog and loved it.
It was just very disappointing, our experience with them. Once
again,
it happens. There's nothing you can do. We thought we would just share that story with you guys. You can see now why we weren't able to fit it into the vlog. This is its own video in itself. We do thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did have any interesting airport experiences, please leave that in the comment section below. Leave us a like. Subscribe if you made it all the way to the end. Appreciate you guys' support.
See you in the next one.
And bye.